Hello, everybody. Welcome to a grand final edition, the season finale, if you will, of the SuperCoach AFL live show, Thursday night teams edition. Last one for the home and away season. Of course, SuperCoach Finals is live already. You can get in and start picking a team. It might be, we can have some fun with it. But after this weekend, we might have a bit of a clearer idea of exactly who is playing in finals. But that should be fun when that kicks off in a couple of weeks. A brand new game. But for now, we're concentrating on the home and away stuff. 50 grand, obviously, up for grabs at the very pointy end of SuperCoach. Plenty of grand finals to be decided as well. Matt Forrest is with me. Foz, are you in any grannies this weekend?
No, I got knocked out of all of my leagues last week. I didn't have a great one, but I'm hoping now that my side is fresh and clear of any responsibilities and pressure of a grand final day, that we score the 4,800 points required to take out the 50K. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we can get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's actually some pretty big changes this weekend. So we could see some big moves, big swings in those rankings. And some big news, obviously, in the footy world. And we've got some teams news as well that we can bring you straight off the top. Maybe we'll do that first. So you're just telling me when I logged in some late changes for tonight's game. So Essendon playing Carlton. Blockbuster, obviously. Last night, the Bombers made 2 changes with Zach Merritt coming back. So that's great for some super coaches, and Dylan Shield gets another crack, and Sardell Hooley was dropped, and so was Ben Hobbs. And for the Blues, Lucas Campriali, who this is his bubble game, his 3rd game, so we'll rise in price.
Waiting all after
year,
this.
So played round 1 and 2, and then round 24. And Will White gets another go, and Fogarty and Cooper Lord were out. But there are some late changes that have just come to hand. Foz, can you fill us in?
Yeah, very late changes. Laverde will miss, as will Sam Durham. Durham's just managing some foot soreness, and Laverde's hip is giving him some issues, and it's last game of the season, not playing for anything. So just giving him an early season finisher. And then Sardell Hooley comes back into the side. He'll be in the 22. And then Zach Johnson has been named as the sub after a decent stint out of the senior side, playing some pretty good VFL football. But he'll come back in with the vest.
Oh, yeah, we'll see what else happens with the remainder of the teams, but he's sitting on my bench, and I might still have to whack the E on him with not much else going on the bench at the moment. But the other big news, of course, today is that the AFL finally got around to handing down a penalty to Izak Rankine for his homophobic slur last weekend against Collingwood. So, I mean, the SuperCoach side of it is obviously not the most important, but for us, it was pretty obvious earlier in the week that he's not playing this weekend, which will affect lots of teams. But, Foz, I don't know if you want to quickly fill us in on what happened today.
Yeah, so it was handed down 4 weeks. It was talked down from 5, so the AFL had handed down an initial 5-match ban on Tuesday night, and then the Crows were given a chance to submit some or put in some submissions to try and talk their way down. They had a number of different topics and sort of subcategories that they discussed. One was Snoop Dogg himself. And never would have thought that'd be used in any sort of deliberations there. And then there's also some medical claims that they've made. So talked down to 4, which gives the Crows a chance to name him in a grand final if they were to lose the qualifying final against whoever they play in the first week. So there's still a slither of hope for Rankine himself to make it back. But the way they've done it is almost that, if the Crows win through, there's a fairly decent chance that he's not going to feature. They'd have to lose in that first week.
Yeah, so he's almost barracking against them. Maybe, I don't know. It's a weird situation, but obviously,
do you tank the first final?
It could be a massive call. I mean, the Crows have to even make the grand final for this to be an issue.
Well, that's obviously the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the decent teams in it as well, although they're obviously on top of the ladder, so they'd be hopeful that they can get there. But just the timing has just been amazing. That the way that all the perfect storm, as these things often are, and the AFL sort of digs a hole for itself sometimes. The way they handle these things, but
one thing that's interesting is that there aren't many teams these days that because of the pre-finals bye that win the first qualifying final and go on to win the flag. So if you go through history, like you look at Brisbane last year, won it from 5th. Obviously, there's the Doggies back in 2016 made it famous. They were the first team to do it from 7th, and obviously they call it red hot form. But if you go back historically, usually they lose. A team will lose a qualifying final and have to play through, or come from outside the top 4 now.
Yeah, you have that sort of weird situation where you have a week off, and then if you win and get another week off, and then it doesn't seem to be the ideal preparation. But we'll see how that all plays out. But sort of I guess the nuts and bolts of it for super coaches, there's no Izak Rankine this weekend. So if anybody has a trade, we can maybe quickly discuss. I think Jeremy Cameron's a pretty obvious pick at around the same price, but there's a few other possibilities you could go with. It's going to affect, I think he's in nearly 50% of teams. So obviously big for the Crows and big when it comes to SuperCoach as well. But bigger issues at play there, which is what I think the AFL had to do something about it. So we'll get into the rest of the teams. Friday night we've got 2 games: the Collingwood Melbourne clash, and also Port Adelaide versus Gold Coast. So looking at the Pies and the Ds, a couple of changes for Collingwood. If I can find the screen here that I'm after, there we go. They've just brought back so Jeremy Howe's back, which is great for them, and Rowan Steele gets another crack, and Ed Allen and Will Parker have been dropped, and I think Melbourne is unchanged. So
unchanged.
I don't know if they would have seen that too many times this season, but I mean, the one question from SuperCoach point of view here for me is, what are the odds, do you think, that we saw on King's birthday, Ed Langdon just absolutely scragged Nick Dacos from start to finish? Do they bother with something like that in round 24 with a caretaker coach?
I would be surprised if they didn't have someone paying some form of attention, but I don't think it'll be that sort of hard tag. I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before, they did send a tag to him early in the year and did a very good job. And then the second game, the repeat game, he absolutely pantsed him. So
that was last year. Yeah.
Was that last year? Yeah. Okay. So there's a chance they, with the caretaker coach, you usually don't see a tag with interim coaches. So maybe we don't see it, but he did say, he flagged it in his pre-match presser during the week that they'd be silly not to pay attention to him. So certainly one to watch. Langdon did a pretty good job. He's named on the wing. Whether that affects it or not, who knows? But the Crows, the Pies are absolutely gunning for the top 4. They need a win, and they need a decent win as well. So the win by, it's essentially, if they win by more than what Hawthorn beats Brisbane by, if they are to win, then that's a top 4. They can finish 3rd if Gold Coast drop a game as well. Like, there's a lot of stipulations, and that's the basic maths to it. So very important for the Crows to win and win by a decent margin.
And potentially, I don't know how much players thinking about these things, but the Brownlow medal, you think if Dacos gets a 3-vote game, and then we've got guys like Jordan Dawson or Bailey Smith, maybe a little bit of extra motivation for those on an individual side of things as well. The second Friday night game, looks like we've got a few more ruined rookies for us here, because Port Adelaide has named 2 debutants, and Gold Coast has got 1 as well. So Rory Atkins comes back. Is it this about to be a farewell game for him, isn't it? Has he announced his retirement?
Farewell game, yep. So he's crushing the party of Ken Hinkley and Travis Boak.
Right. Gets a lap of bottom, Rory Atkins. And then they've also named Harrison Ram and Ewan McKinlay for their first games. And over at, Ollie Wine's obviously suspended, Sin out, and Lorenz also out. And there's one change for the Gold Coast Suns. Nick Holman's been dropped, and they're playing Lachlan Golban, is it, for his first game? So
Golban,
three new rookies that won't be rookie price for us next year.
Do we think that Rory Atkins gets chaired off with Boak and I guess whether Hinkley gets chaired off as well? Who knows? But there's a chance they do it. Why not?
Well, he's playing one of his old sides, isn't
he? Yeah, I guess so.
He could get the old guard on it.
What a way to finish. It's good to see. I know we don't like rookies debuting at this stage of the year, but 2 mid-season draftees for Port Adelaide getting picked, and they're both on 6-month contracts. So I think Ram might have been 18, but definitely sort of watch and see, and hopefully they go pretty well. Ram's been in decent form in the VFL.
Yeah, right. And Golban, I guess, they're playing finals unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. So he's definitely got something to play for. So go into the Saturday games now, and there's a whole bunch of them, obviously. Starting with North Melbourne versus Adelaide. So obviously Rankine is out for the Crows, but at North Melbourne, Aiden Corr's back in, and Zach Branch gets another game. Cam Zurhaar is injured, and Matt Whitlock, we talked a bit about last week, managed to kick a goal against the Tigers, so that would have been nice for him. He has been dropped, and for the Crows, They've lost Rankine, obviously. Harry Schoenberg was made a brief appearance and he's back out again. Lockie Murphy's been dropped. And Billy Dowling's been putting up some big numbers in the samples. Is one of the Phantoms' Lair favourites, certainly from last year. Might be nearly his first game for the year. Sid Draper's back for his first game for a long time. And Rory Laird, who was he suspended last week, so he's back as well. But yeah, some young guys, interesting for the Crows that they maybe just want to have another look at before finals come around.
Yeah, none of the inclusions really are a Rankine replacement. It's sort of a bit surprising to see they haven't gone for that sort of high half forward. But I guess Draper can play that forward role and might get stints in the midfield. We'll see. But I can't imagine there'll be much of a fight put up. The Crows are obviously humming at this stage of the game, and North's season is done. Win-loss doesn't really affect them too much.
Played their granny last week down in Hobart.
And it was a good granny. It was a great granny.
Well, for them it was, yeah. They had a pretty good win. But yeah, I think the Crows will be pretty hard to beat there. Then we go into the Tigers-Geelong game, which is the 4:15 match on Saturday. And some good news here. Again, SuperCoach-wise, maybe it might affect his price next year, but good to see Josh Gibkiss getting a crack. So Nick Flostone's out with that fractured ankle, I think it was. So he maybe have a bit of a delayed start to pre-season. Steely Green's been dropped. Luke Trainer's back after I think he was just laid out last week with a bit of soreness. And Gibkiss hasn't played since round one last year, had a heap of injuries. He's been overseas, long-term knee recovery and all that kind of thing. So, just wishing him the best. He's played half a dozen solid-ish games at VFL level. So, the main thing for him is just to get out there and have a crack at it and get through the game, hopefully. So, I definitely think he's one we'll be looking at, hopefully starting as probably for the third time as a rookie next year in SuperCoach if he's ready to go from round one. And just the one change at the Cats, Shannon Neal is out suspended, and a bit of a like-for-like they brought in Jed Buse.
Yeah, very like-for-like for that one. Gibkiss, 527 days. It's been a long time.
Yeah, wow.
And, if you look at it, even before playing round one last year, it was littered with hamstring and knee injuries ever since he was really drafted with that number 9 pick in 2021. So, good to see him back out there, even if it is, a relatively brief appearance and he's, gone again at the end of the year and we don't see him until round one next year. But, it's good to see him back out on the field. The Cats looks like they're just going to clear out Cameron's paddock and just let him kick 11 goals, get within 10 and chase that elusive ton.
And do you think there's any risk here? So the Cats they haven't rested anybody here as yet. I mean, we know the Masters of just making a decision on the last second before the game. Is there any much chance of that, or what do you if they're 12 goals up at 3/4 time, do they just let Bailey Smith sit on the bench for a quarter or anything like that we should be worried about?
They certainly could do something like that. I don't think they would have with the pre-finals bye. They'd sort of just rely on that. It might be. It might get to 3/4 time or, half time. They go, we'll give Bailey a rest or Holmesy a rest or someone like that. But no real sort of changes been uttered around, at least at this point of the time. Who knows? It's usually about an hour and a half out. They'll start dropping hints.
Yeah, so one to watch potentially, but some decent captain options there certainly for SuperCoach, which we can talk about pretty soon. The Saturday night game is West Coast against the Swans. Again, some potential captains if this one is as one-sided as it could be. A couple of changes at the Eagles. Luca Grego is another debutant, and Tyrell Dewar is back in. And the big in, of course, for SuperCoach, I should have just jumped straight to this off the top, and that is that Brodie Grundy is back, which we thought he would be from that concussion. Just missed the 1 week. Riley Bice, another great SuperCoach name, and Corey Warner come in, and Peter Laddams has been dropped. So he was really good last week. I thought that maybe they would have a bit of a dual ruck set up this week, but no sign of that. So Grundy just ruck solo the whole game against Matt Flynn or whoever the Eagles have got. So expect a pretty massive score. I used my last trade last week to trade out Grundy, and I'm pretty regretting that now because he could definitely score 2 weeks worth of points here. Cleary and Detoli were the other outs for the Swans. But if you do you still have Grundy? I think it's people who actually having a trade last week has turned out to be a disadvantage because people who didn't have trades just were forced to hold him, and they're going to be rewarded this week.
Yeah, I didn't have any trades left. I held him, and what's worse is I had him on my flex as well. I couldn't get him off the field, so I just had my 22 players. But yeah, it's I'm excited to have him back. Who'd you trade him to?
Rowan Marshall, because he was playing Essendon. and I thought, he could score
He
150.
scored pretty well.
It was like 108 or something. Yeah,
Well,
it was
if
pretty
you think
flat.
about it, if he scores 100 this week, then
He should still be ahead.
Grundy will need to score 209 points. So
Which
I think
is,
he'll be clear.
so it might be,
he
be
could
close.
do it, especially as a captain. He could.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's
exactly.
when you really get scared. That's when you get scared. Yeah.
Well, we won't spend too long on it. But the other trade that I was toying up was trading Chera to LDU. So
yeah,
what could have been if I'd have gone down that road this week, I could have had LDU and Grundy. But never mind. Yes, if you've got Grundy, I think he'd definitely be very high in your captaincy calculations. Continuing with the teams, Sunday, 3 games which the AFL has helpfully really spaced out for us. The first one is the Giants and the Saints at 12:20. And just a few ins here for Sunday squads. James Leake, SuperCoach favourite from pre-season, is on the extended bench, along with Brent Daniels, who's been injured all year, but has sort of played 1 or 2 games along the way. But he could be underpriced next year if we are looking for some bargains. We'll talk about him maybe over summer. And Jack Buckley is another potential in. And for the Saints, again, no outs at this stage. Isaac Keeler, Jack Carroll, and Liam O'Connell are the 3 potential ins.
Yeah, no, Jesse Hogan for the Giants. There are some serious concerns about whether he makes it back for finals. Obviously, he's just been battling a real nagging foot injury. They were hopeful to get him back this week. Obviously, with the pre-finals bye next week, it opens up the opportunity for an extra couple of weeks of rest. But at this stage, they're running out of time at this point. So hopefully, he can get back. He's a gun when fit. But yeah, looking at that side, Buckley will play, which is great for the Giants, and Brent Daniels just needs to clear off the captain's run, but he'll be named and then withdrawn if not fit. But which is great to see as well. He's been battling his body a bit.
Yeah, the other one, interesting name just for the Saints too, is that Jack McRae named on the extended bench. A few people pointed out he had 55% game time last week, time on ground. And he's just, his centre bounces are right down. I think, in the last sort of month or so, Ross has been, even Jack Steele's been taken out of the centre square a bit, trying to give some of these younger guys a run. So Hugh Boxall, good for him to get named in the guts again. But yeah, a bit of a worry if you've got McRae in SuperCoach. I mean, hopefully he makes the cut for the team. But yeah, he's certainly getting pushed out of the centre square, which is exactly what happened to him at the Bulldogs, obviously. But yeah, that's another interesting one to watch. Yeah. So then into hopefully the Giants wouldn't want to drop that one, but the next 2 games absolutely massive in terms of deciding the finals. Obviously, especially this one, Bulldogs versus Fremantle, could be basically an elimination final. No massive changes, I don't think, for either team. So no outs for the Dogs at this stage. Caulfield, Archie Jones, and Liam Jones is back, so that's an interesting one. But they're all just on the extended bench, I think. And for the Dockers, again, just the 3 ins. Hayden Young comes back in, so that's a good in for him, for them if he can get through the game. Oscar McDonald and Brandon Walker are the other 2 ins who go onto the extended bench with Nat Fyfe still sitting there. But yeah, I mean, just there's so much going on in this game, and there's half a dozen at least, relevant SuperCoach players from Bont to Ed Richards to Sam Darcy to Sarong and Bolton and Luke Jackson and, Shea Bolton. So there's, names all over the place. And I know scanning through the teams at the very top of the rankings, the top half a dozen or so, there's just a mix of all of these guys. 2 of them have Jackson, 2 of them have Darcy, one has Brayshaw, all this kind of thing. So yeah, there's just a lot riding on this one.
Yeah, we'll know as soon as the final siren sounds on the Gold Coast and Port Adelaide game, whether this is going to be an elimination final or not. If Port somehow get up over the Suns, then we'll Gold Coast could still technically miss out on finals. They'd have to lose to Essendon in that make-up game. But if the Suns do what's expected and beat Port, then this game will be the loser will miss out on finals. So just makes it a huge game. And the Dogs haven't selected Adam Treloar. He had 40 touches, 10 marks, 4 tackles and a goal, dominated the VFL last week in his return from that nagging calf injury. And the Dogs are backing the side that's been performing pretty well in the midfield. Ed Richards has sort of taken that role and made it his own this year. Yeah,
interesting. So if they do get into finals, it'll be interesting to see if they get a couple more games into him, maybe in the VFL and unleash him there. But we'll be watching that one extremely closely, obviously. And then the last game of the home and away season for SuperCoach purposes at least starts at 7:20 on Sunday night. So it's going to be a late lockout. We'll be hitting that refresh button very late on Sunday night to try and see what the final rankings are. I'm sure, there's people at the very top are going to be sweating on that. I do envy them because I wish I was that high in the rankings, but it's going to be a stressful night, stressful weekend. But a few changes here for the Lions. They've lost Jared Berry and Eric Hipwood to injury, and the ins are Kai Lohman, Ty Gallup, James Tunstall, Darragh Joyce, and Oscar McInerney potentially back. Just been rucking Darcy Ford, haven't they? So Oscar on the extended bench at this stage, and just the 3 ins for Hawthorn onto probably extended bench type of action with Ned Reeves. Sam Butler is back potentially. That might help some people in SuperCoach on the bench, especially maybe if you need him as cover for Rankin. So they'll be praying he makes the final cut, but we'll find out that tomorrow. And Cam McKenzie potentially back in as well for the Hawks. But another massive game in terms of. Are these two? They're both potentially still top 4, aren't they?
Yeah, so both teams can make top 4, and it's pretty easy paths to doing it. The Lions just need a win, and the Hawks need a win and have a couple of other bits and pieces go their way. It'll be interesting. Obviously, it's once again the Hawks rely a little bit on the Suns Wednesday game as well against Essendon, but no changes really. I can't see any for the Hawks really being made. Ty Gallup will replace Eric Hipwood for his second game of the AFL, which is interesting. The other change hasn't been confirmed just yet. Massive game, or massive 2 games to finish off the round.
Yeah, 100%. Now, of course, as we've touched on, there is another game that is, I guess, part of round 24 being played next Wednesday night between Gold Coast and Essendon. But just to reiterate, it does not count for SuperCoach. This was the opening round game that was put off because of the hurricane. And when it was going to be played in opening round, it wasn't going to be part of the SuperCoach season. So we sort of just made that decision that whenever it lands, it won't count for SuperCoach. So effectively, the SuperCoach season ends on Sunday night, and on Monday we'll have the final rankings and the overall winner and that kind of thing, and then we'll just be able to watch that game. And won't be able to, captain a Matty Rowell or a Noah Anderson for what could be some pretty big scores. But just a reminder that one doesn't count in terms of SuperCoach at least. But depending on what the Suns do on Saturday night, may or may not have big influence on the finals as well. But so that's the teams done. We'll get into a bit of captains talk in a sec, because that obviously is huge for the weekend. But before we do that, we should always, of course, talk about our best bets powered by Better. Now, I went for a bit of a multi last week, and I was on the right track. I picked the right game. I had North and a few North players to rack it up, but I just didn't quite get the right ones. But we're going to try that again, back it up this week. And I love the Bond. We'll talk about captains in a sec, but he's right up there in terms of my captaincy picks this weekend. And I've got him for 30 touches or more and 2 or more goals. Just streams, just a classic setup for a classic Bond performance to get the doggies into the finals potentially, and then to get a third leg in the same game multi. Caleb Sarong, his last 5 games against the Bulldogs, he's had 38 disposals, 35, 28, 37, and 38, and that was in round 4 this year. So I've just got him for 30 plus, and that you can get $9.50 for that. So which probably tells me it's unlikely, but if we nail it, it's a nice way to finish. But what have you got for us, Foz?
I'm going to the. We saw it a few weeks ago. He had 39 touches, could have had 40, got robbed late in the game. But I'm going back to the well with Brodie Grundy, our returning saviour, for both SuperCoach and for our punters club that we've developed here. He's paying $5.40 to collect 30 touches, so I'll back that in, and we'll take that to the bank with nine spare, and he'll hit that at a 3/4 time, and we'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that at all. But, of course, what is Gambly really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen, 1-800-858-858, or visit the website gamblinghelponline.org.au. So that just leaves captains to take us out. I mean, is it as simple as Brodie Grundy? He's in, you've got him, you put the C on him, or VC potentially?
Yep.
How are you going to work
Pretty
it?
much. Yeah, he'll be the captain. I'm tossing up between my 3 catters for that 4:15 game just beforehand, so I'll have to be pretty quick to make sure the score's okay. But yeah, Holmes, Bailey Smith, and Jeremy Cameron. I'm a bit worried about Jez. Like, obviously, I know that he is chasing the ton, but I also think in my heart of hearts, the Cats know that it's not feasible anymore, and 21 goals in 3 or 4 games is going to be a bit too tough. But I also look at it, the only really good part of Richmond's lineup is their back six, and more specifically their key defenders. And I know Vlosten's missing, and they've brought in Gibcus and Trainer as to sort of fill the void of the defensive unit, but they've still got some really good one-on-one key defenders, and we saw it last week. They were very happy to just let him not do anything and still win the game. And even the week before, he kicked a flurry of late goals and had some chances to sort of bump up his numbers, but he hasn't been overly convincing for me to go and say, you know what, he's going to kick 10 today. So we'll I'm still deciding. I'll probably end up leaning Max Holmes out of the 3. But then we're going straight into Grundy, and we'll be fine with that. A couple others I like, obviously Nick Dacos. We've spoken about him a little bit. I don't mind Zach Butters this weekend in Kenny's last game. Obviously coming up against coming up against Gold Coast. Sorry. And then tonight there isn't really any that I'm overly interested in. No. And then you look at Sunday and there's a couple of really big clashes. I think Josh Dunkley against the Hawks might do pretty well. I like him, and then also I like the Bulldogs play. Like, that game is flooded with good SuperCoach options, but I think in an elimination final, Ed Richards and your Marcus Bontempelli types could have a pretty good game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And so I really like the Bont as a backup captain. So it's just a question of who you go before. Then, I do like Dacos. Do they, that's interesting. I missed that comment about them putting some attention into him, but with everything to play for there, we know what an animal he can be in terms of getting the ball. So can put up some really big numbers. I mean, Max Gawn is always there. Darcy Cameron's been giving up some scores to Rucks recently, and then probably going to one of those Cats though, and for me it's Holmes or Baz, and probably Bailey Smith. Just Holmes has been his last couple of games have been a little bit unders. I'm sure he'll get stacked up at this time. As I said, was it 94 combined disposals between Sheasel and LDU last week? So that could be a similar story for those two in this one. So it's just a matter of who comes out on top. But Baz has probably been the one who's had the edge all year, and just been at just looking back at some of our picks over the course of the season, he was such an obvious pick for most people that you didn't really think too hard about it. But he has been a fantastic selection. Probably went better than any of us thought he would do. He's a number 1 ranked forward. I think he's worth about 200 grand more than what we paid for him. So it's just been a fantastic season for him. So, and could be in the running for a Brownlow. So I think that's probably where I lean with Bont as the backup. But if I had Grundy, I wish I could have included him in there somewhere. Quick question late from Liam saying, thoughts on Cripper tonight as a final trade? I mean, Essendon is pretty decimated. No Durham. Don't know if he'd be the one I'd be going for, but I haven't looked up his price. He's probably not super expensive. I guess he's an option.
Yeah, if you're happy with I don't think he'd score 150, but if you're looking for a value pickup, he's playing a bad midfield group that's missing a couple of its key players, and they should win theoretically. Not a bad option.
What about Harry Mackay? I saw he was one of the most traded in players this week. Obviously scored absolutely massive last week, coming up against another weakened defence. Could he do it again?
15 goals. He could kick 15 goals. Let's get him in. He would probably be, I'd probably pick him. I haven't looked at his price, but I'd probably look at him over Jeremy Cameron this week, personally.
As a ranking trade, if you have one.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, Mackay is, he could easily kick a real bag this week. He could also have 4 points. Who knows? But, he shined last week, and he's coming up against an Essendon side that is, they especially with Laverde coming out, I don't think Laverde would have kept him, to a modest score. But just losing another key defender in that side, I don't even know who matches up on him now. That's probably going to. Yeah. Oh. I mean, Blackers he's actually been not too bad, but Harry should kick 10.
Yeah, don't mind that. Scuds just jumped in with a very late question. Brian Goulden or Touk to replace Rankine. So you've got Goulden coming up against West Coast or Brian Myers against the Tigers. Both could go very well, I think. Maybe Goulden's more likely to sort of get a 150 potentially if that's what you need.
Yeah. I'd lean Goulden. I really like Ryan as a pick. He has been an outstanding sort of midfielder in the last month or so. He just is. I haven't looked at his SuperCoach scores. I know that he's scoring pretty well, but I haven't.
It's good. Yeah, sort of 90 plus pretty much every week without.
But my word, is he playing well in that midfield group? So whether that's a long-term position for him, I'm not sure. But he's right. He's the second rotation in, and his ball use has been fantastic. So definitely an option there. I'd lean those two over Touk, but I almost went Touk a couple of weeks ago, and he's been a fantastic pick this year as well.
Yeah. So all could go well, but I'd probably give the tick to Goulden as well. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks everybody for watching another episode and watching for this 24-week season. It is a marathon, as we say, but we've made it to the end. Congratulations, everybody, and good luck if you're in a grand final this weekend. Obviously, gunning for any jump we can get in the overall rankings. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back again soon for SuperCoach Finals. So we'll talk about that soon, but enjoy the footy this weekend. See you, Matt. Thank you.
See you, mate. Have a good one.